Welcome to Medical Confessions.
Your remedy for serious medicine. I'm Jen.
I'm April.
And I'm Scott. Today we're going to be talking about what makes your limbs fall asleep.
This one's always I just think one of those things that it's weird and people don't really give it any thought, why it takes place. But I mean, how many times have you woken up and your arm's dead from sleeping on it wrong? Or, for me, if I crouch down for something, my legs go numb.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom always said, I have horrible circulation. You get that from me. But that's not the case.
That is not the case. It's
Which
not
is
about
funny.
blood flow. Well, it's not about blood flow to the limb. It's about blood flow to the nerve. It's a nerve problem. I had actually one time I was on this first date, and when you first start, you guys are laughing already.
Well, because just all of these stories from you start like that.
I was on a date.
No, they start with on a first date and then they end with, and now we're divorced. Sorry, carry on. Sorry, there's a little bit of backstory there.
Well, I was on this first date. When you first start to cuddle, and so that's awesome. So you don't really want to move.
Wait,
so
but you're on your first date and you were cuddling already?
Well, we were holding hands for the first time.
Okay, because there's a difference.
But I was sitting weirdly on my leg, but I didn't really want to move because, I don't know, just didn't want to move for whatever reason. And I went up to go to the bathroom, didn't realize my leg had fallen asleep at some point. I went to take my first step and jelloed straight to the floor.
Whoa.
And it wasn't like a graceful fall because there was no control whatsoever. It was like this little,
Bambi.
Yeah.
Just
And then I was laying there I need a minute. I just need,
was there a second date following this event?
There was a second date, and actually, there's a good chance I ended up marrying her.
Of course you did. See, you laugh, but there's a lot of truth in my statement earlier. So why did that happen to you? Why did one of these most embarrassing moments of your life take place?
There's so many jokes right now.
Yeah.
So it's a nerve flow. It's a nerve problem. Basically, your nerves get overexcited for a time, or there's a lack of blood flow to them. So it's a pressure and time problem. And so nerves, generally the nucleus of the cell sits in your spinal cord, and then you have axons that go out to your limbs, and then dendrites as well. But axons specifically, well, if you put pressure on those axons, there's an axonal transport system, which is these little, just micro blood vessels that are supplying blood and nutrients to the nerve itself. Well, you only need about half a PSI to reduce that blood flow, not very much. And at
That's nothing.
It's almost nothing. That's why just sticking it above your head is enough,
Yeah.
But at 1 PSI for 2 minutes, you will cut off those micronutrients to the nerve, and now the nerve won't send impulses properly, and so you can't feel anything, or in this case, have any muscle control, and you tumble to the floor in front of your date, and it's unfortunate.
So why is it that it seems like some people are more easily affected then by that?
Because, I don't know, easily affected, or it's just how their nerves run. Everybody's, so the most common nerve problem for this particular thing is carpal tunnel syndrome, and it's because your median nerve that goes to your hand actually goes through this little tunnel. But everybody's nerves kind of run a little bit differently. And so for you, when you're sitting in that crouched down catcher's position, whatever nerve is being supplied, you've now applied pressure to that. But that doesn't necessarily mean somebody else sitting in that catcher's position, their nerve is running a little bit different way, and so it's not getting pinched. So I don't know if it's some people are more affected by it, or it's just how they're positioning themselves.
It's just individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, so there it is. It's a nerve problem, not a blood flow problem.
All right.
It hurts so bad, though. I hate it when my foot falls asleep.
Well, because it's
pins
not.
and needles.
I was going to say it's not the falling asleep part; it's the recovery part where it's waking back up.
Hate it.
Yeah, once the blood flow is going, the nerve is starting to feel those impulses, and it's not quite all the way back to normal. So it's that pins and needle feeling. I mean, it's a pressure and time. So low pressure in a long amount of time will do it, or high pressure in short amount of time. So, for instance, you hit your funny bone, which is your ulnar nerve, and that's huge pressure right away you will feel that
Super
thing,
painful.
and it's not funny at all.
Yeah.
But
So is there any part of this dangerous though? Because I think what I've had happen, if I've fallen asleep in a weird position and my arm's dead, it actually freaks me out, and I think that like my arm's gonna like decay and fall off. Like it's that weird scary thing. Is it dangerous?
I always think it's more funny. It's not dangerous. No.
Okay.
Well, yes and no. No, it's not dangerous for most people. But if you're going to keep your limb in that position for an extended period of time, and extended being days, months, weeks, I mean,
Like if it was casted, in a certain position, then perhaps that would be
oh,
dangerous.
absolutely. And so this is one of the things, like if you are in a cast, physical therapy is just teaching you how to move. So if you have your hand in a cast for long periods of time, those nerves will, and, not just your nerves, but your ligaments and your tendons will all get, pretty stiff, and then you'll have to relearn how to move again. And they used to torture people that way. They'd stick them in little boxes, and they have to sit in certain positions, and then over time everything's, they come out and they're still in the box position.
Who did that?
Well, it's a war thing.
Yeah,
They're,
well, shoot,
put 'em in
Vietnam
little-
War, they
yeah,
did that.
Vietnam.
Really?
Tiger cages, yeah.
I've never heard
Tiny.
of
John
that.
McCain, he was in a tiger cage
Oh,
for
I
a
didn't
while.
know that.
I
This is
haven't
why I have
seen,
all sorts of respect for John McCain.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything over here, but when we went over to Vietnam, we went to the War Memorial,
And they had them?
They showed the cages, and it was sickening. It was 3 levels, and I couldn't finish all 3 levels. Like, I was sick.
Oh,
to
that's
see.
horrible.
I mean, I'm seeing it from their perspective,
Sure.
but either way, even if it was from our perspective, it was gross.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So, how does this fit in with medical ailments like carpal tunnel syndrome or?
So pressure and time and vibrations will usually cause these nerve problems. So with carpal tunnel, it's just that nerve is actually, your median nerve is running through a small area. So if you're using that nerve a lot, that nerve could inflame, and then that small tunnel area, will then impinge on the nerve being able to inflame, and now you get the pressure that way. They call it compartment syndrome. Well, not technically, but compartment syndrome, and then you'll feel that pain, and so people with carpal tunnel know it's painful. Dirt bike riders, they call it arm pump, and it's the same thing. They're going over whoops or whatever, and their arms are constantly going like this.
Right.
And so there are studies where they say X number of oscillations per second will cause X, Y, and Z. So that's kind of how it fits in with carpal tunnel,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, and the reason I'm curious is you said it's not really dangerous, but kind of. And so, like, one story that I had heard of years ago, and I can't even cite it at this point, might even been an urban legend, but it was a gentleman that was hunting. So it was an elk or a deer or something that he was trying to drag out himself, and he had taken basically like webbing from, rope climbing, things like that, and somehow hooked the animal up, and then had thrown the straps over each arm and just kind of, banked down and started walking down a trail. And I think over a long distance of time and over a long period of time, he ended up actually he had major nerve damage to his arms. And I don't know what the extent of his injuries were, but it sounded like for a time period it was actually life-threatening. So I don't know if he actually had like a compartment syndrome type of a thing where, you're like, no, it's not fact.
No. I was trying to think of, depending on what exactly he's cutting off, right? Because he could just be tourniqueting off blood flow.
That's
to the
kind of
limb
what
itself.
I think what it was, and I don't know if he got septic because once but I thought he had long-term injury to both arms, like.
Well, let's just talk about tourniquets and the difference between cutting off blood flow and nerve blood flow, or cutting off the nerve. So tourniquets, you're cutting off blood flow to the entire extremity. If you're not getting any blood flow, you're not getting any return back to the heart. So all of the byproducts of cellular metabolism are going to make your blood a little bit more acidic. Your cells are going to start dying off. They're going to leach things like potassium. And so then basically your limb just starts to die after you've got that tourniquet on for long enough. You don't want to release it because all that acid blood will go back to your heart and kill you. So generally amputation is what they do if that tourniquet's on long enough.
And I'm thinking that might have been what happened, but I don't recall now.
So yeah, if he was cutting off arterial blood flow, that would certainly cause damage. But again, but if you're just impinging on the nerve itself and not the artery supplying blood, just like anything else, if you don't supply blood to that nerve, eventually the nerve cell will die because
Yeah.
there's not a lot of micronutrients, or just that, the axon itself won't be able to create that impulse. So if you do it for long periods of time, then yeah, you're going to have nerve
Right.
damage, as it were.
It's dedication. He must have been real hungry.
He
Yeah.
really wanted that
Yeah.
meat. How long was he?
I don't know, but I'm a hunter, and I can understand like the anger and like this is happening.
Yeah.
I am powering through.
We're
I don't
getting
need
this
my
meat
arms.
back there.
I'm getting this back to camp.
See, I would
so.
be the other way, like, screw it, just bury the thing. You know,
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
No.
this is why I don't hunt
Yeah.
for many other reasons.
Yeah. So I'm just curious as to. So then you're saying that for the most part, when we have arms and legs that go numb, we're not completely blocking off. We're just
You're just-
decreasing.
Depending on what you're doing. So if you're just pinching on a nerve, so like acupuncture, they're sticking those little needles into specific nerve lines,
Yeah.
as it were. But if you're just pinching a specific nerve area off, you're just cutting off the ability of that nerve to send an impulse, or that little axonal transport system's not getting its blood, so the nerve's not going to work. So then it's just your dead arm,
Yeah.
the stranger, as it were.
There it is. I was waiting for the joke to come out.
You're waiting for the stranger joke.
Something had to come out. There's no way with you two that something wasn't going to pop out.
Well, that's the joke. I have never tried. For the record, I have never tried the stranger. I wouldn't even know how to make. Well, I guess I do know how to make that happen, but
You
it's
would
never
just
happened.
laugh. You would laugh before.
Well, my thing is, you see that on, what was that, American Pie? Well, what show? What TV
I think
show?
it was.
I don't know.
It was one of those
Yeah.
TV shows. In my head, I was like, well, didn't blood flow to the nerve come back soon enough that
Yeah.
you can't really
Yeah.
finish the task?
Right.
And then it's not the stranger anymore. Oh, it's me. Never mind. Not excited.
Oh. So, yeah, well, that kind of just, I guess that's why we're here, though. It just kind of takes the excitement out of the, numbness. Like, I always thought it was like a big deal. Like, oh my gosh, I've woken up and been like, holy cow, I almost, had to have my arm.
Lost an arm.
Yeah.
How long have I been in this position?
I've
I was-
done that once. Yeah, woke up and same arm. It was I hopped out of bed and I had no idea it was asleep, but something hit me in the back, and I was like, I was afraid to look behind me because like no one else is in here. And I turned and it hit me again. It was like a dog chasing his tail. And then when I realized, I of course started laughing at myself, but it was ridiculous.
I don't think I've never had that happen. I
Only
wish I
one.
would've seen that.
It was. I wish I would have had a video because
Yeah.
it was like I had to have looked so ridiculous.
And how
But
long did it take before?
It was just 2 hits.
No, but I mean before it came back, before you're like,
Oh, I don't know, but I've never had dead arm like that. Ever.
Yeah.
Since or before. Yeah.
And I wonder, does our body wake us up? Is it really been cut off for that long, or does your body like make you move and it's only been 5
I've
minutes?
woken up and felt my arm was painful, and then realized it was dead asleep.
Yeah.
And I remember dreaming about pain in my
Yeah.
arm,
Oh.
and I don't remember the specifics of the dream, but my arm's really
And
hurt. And then you wake up and it's all
Yeah, and I wonder if you actually, I wonder if you ever actually leave it for a long period of time, or if your body denotes it, and
screw it.
yeah, wake up. Well, no, or like creates
Yeah,
something
I don't know.
to
I
wake
was.
you up.
Yeah, I was just. It was an alarm that woke me up, so I just had to get up anyways. But
Well, I just
it
know you don't
wasn't
pee in your
because
dream.
of the pain. I haven't had a pee dream.
Never pee in your dream.
I don't dream.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one. Yeah, I don't dream, but I think I have dreams. I just don't ever remember them. And other people will talk about their dreams, and I have no. In fact, I'm going to do a sleep study.
Are you?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm excited about that
That
because you
seems
mentioned
like an
this before, and
episode.
I don't think you actually sleep long enough, because you've mentioned that
I'm a horrible sleeper.
you have these broken periods of sleep. So
Yeah,
I think you're not.
wake up several times a night, and like wake up, not just like roll over and stuff, but like wake up. But did I tell you that I went and the reason I'm going to the sleep study is because my dentist told me to.
Oh.
Yeah, so like I went to a new dentist. Like I had the same dentist for years, and then I just went to a new dentist this last year, and he was like, "Holy, you have the smallest airway. Do you sleep well?" And I just thought it was weird.
Oh.
And I was like, "No, how can you tell?" And he's like, "You just have horrible anatomy for sleeping well, And I do like have periods where like I'll snore and stuff, which is funny because I have not, like I don't know. I didn't know that I did it, but my husband says I do. So
You snore a lot?
no, like he said, like I'm very intermittent, and he goes, and it's not like a snore that someone can live with. It's not like a rhythmic, like a, he goes, you're one of these that's like. He goes,
What were
and
you
then
like?
you wake yourself up.
What was it like?
I'm not doing it again. You can slow motion that one and put it in the parodies. But he's like, it's really bad. Like, it'll wake him up. And he's like, and then you just like roll over. I'm like, oh, that's good. Glad no one knows about it.
My dad says my mom does that, but it's because she stops breathing for a while. So
Well,
it's her body's way.
And
of-
that's what, like,
Sleep
my
apnea.
dentist was like, you should actually go in and see.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am not getting a CPAP. I refuse.
Well, I was curious because you mentioned the not dreaming, and I thought, well, shoot, are you just not going into REM very much, or you're just not waking up enough
I dream.
in that REM?
I don't
area?
know, but like other people talk about these dreams. Well, every day my husband tells me about some crazy dream he has, and I'm always like, oh, spare me. Like not because I'm like almost jealous. Like I don't have. I know I did as a kid, but I don't remember having dreams as an adult.
Well, I remember being a kid, and I think this is probably too much to share with everybody, but I was like maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, and if you pee in your dream, I would wake up because I've just peed myself.
Yeah.
And, and later on, like now when I dream about peeing, I never can pee. It's always like, I really have to pee, and then you're standing in front of the toilet, like not able to pee, and it's like this painful thing, and then I wake up, oh, I have to pee. And then
Wow.
the
Ah.
joke is always just never pee in your dream.
Gotcha.
Because you will wet
Yeah.
the bed or whatever.
Somehow we have digressed into this dream. This is not what our
Dream sex.
episode is about. Apparently, numb arms are not that exciting. We had to find some other pathway to take. But yeah, I wish there was some sort of a test or something we could do.
We can do nerve press on specific nerves.
You can try and romance yourself and see if your hand falls asleep.
Nah, hard pass on that one.
Sounds like you've had experience.
I did have a long distance relationship before.
Dear, I'm uncomfortable.
Carpal tunnel. Carpal tunnel's a tough cookie to crack.
Oh.
It really is.
And so carpal tunnel, then you were talking about like people, dirt bikers, or probably people with heavy equipment,
Oh yeah, jackhammers.
jackhammers.
That's huge.
Anything that vibrates.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I've used tools before where I've gotten done and been like, oh, like I don't even know, but I don't even know.
I'm sure I've used a tool at some
But
point.
or like you kept making this movement, but people that type heavily.
So you don't use a lot of vibrating.
Or
Well,
even
they-
chainsaws will do it
Okay.
if you're cutting a lot.
Yeah. So, but there's a surgery. There's something they can do for them. What do they do when people suffer from?
Well, basically, they're either make the tunnel bigger, or I've seen the actual surgery on video, and they're scraping away some of the and I don't know the nerve itself to make it smaller, and
Oh.
the white matter, I think, is what they're scraping away. I'm not specific, so don't quote me. But there's a YouTube video out there of them doing carpal tunnel surgery.
It just seems like that would be like career ending. Like if you started to develop it, wouldn't it just continue to get worse even with, if you took a rest? I mean, there's really probably
yeah, those
permanent damage
repetitive,
done.
like stenographers, like in courtroom that have
Or
carpal
musicians,
tunnel.
I would assume, would also be at risk. So certain types of instruments, so pianos
Well,
and...
yeah, and checkers at supermarkets, they're prone to it.
Oh, I thought you meant like checkers.
I can't play checkers again? What?
No, because
Oh.
they're continually grabbing things.
I don't
to
know
scan.
though. There's
I do.
this
I used
checker,
to work at.
Yeah, but
a
there's this
store.
checker that I see all the time, and she drives me nuts because she's the world's slowest.
Oh
checker.
gosh, she probably doesn't have a problem.
No, she does not have carpal tunnel. She reminds me of that sloth from that cartoon. Have you guys seen him? It's a
Yes.
recent kids cartoon where
I
he's like at
love
the
that.
DMV and he's like,
Oh yes.
Is she one of those checkers that, oh, this is really good
no,
meat, and then
she's
starts
not
reading
even a
the
good
ingredient?
conversationalist.
Oh.
She's literally just a morning.
Do you ever reach across and just start
No, a
sliding
couple
it
times
quicker?
I've purposely gone to her line just to make sure that it's legit, like it's long term. This isn't just a passing thing for her. Maybe
You want to
she's a
make
new-
sure she's okay?
Yeah, well, no, like I thought, well, maybe she's on a new medication. Maybe she's depressed. No, it's her all the time. I go back and check every now and then. She's the same all the time.
Maybe she does it just to irritate people.
Yeah, could be. But I can't believe she's kept
Something
her
I
position.
would do.
Like if I was like the manager of that store, she'd be out.
She's bored.
So you're the bagger now.
Yeah.
I guess you couldn't even be
No.
the bagger. You couldn't keep up.
No, she couldn't keep up.
No. Well, I know professional dirt bike riders will do. A lot of them will get that same surgery because they can't go across the whoops. I used to ride dirt bikes a
Is that
lot
what it's
younger.
called? Whoops.
The whoops.
The whoop-de-doos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought.
Well, that long section of,
Yeah.
they're usually 3 foot tall and
Yeah.
about,
I
6,
hate
7
them.
feet wide. And that was my favorite in
I
high
hate
school.
them.
You
I've
just,
never even tried
it's
a dirt
rough.
bike. I shouldn't.
You should.
I would die.
It's fun.
Yeah. I'm
But
sure.
I remember going through like our long whoop sections where me and my friends would be like, okay, see who can go through it the fastest. And by the end, I couldn't even squeeze
Yeah.
my arms
right.
anymore. Just that constant
Yeah.
shaking.
Hmm.
And it's painful.
After.
Sucks. But
Like,
yeah, because
sore.
your whole forearm is just on fire. Because that tingling starts coming back, but it's on fire. It just
Oh.
hurts. I know professional dirt bike riders, they can't actually grip the handlebars. Eventually, they'll lose grip and just fall off. So, they have to,
Sad.
they get a lot. They get surgery and
Yeah.
fix it.
Well, I guess too much of anything, as we always say. Moderation.
Everything in moderation, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. Well, now we know
What
why our
makes
arms
you-
and legs fall asleep. Can your head fall asleep?
Yeah, well, I guess if you cut off blood flow to your brain, you just pass out.
I'm just thinking
When I-
like just arms and legs.
Well, generally, because it's the axons, right? I mean, it's the nerves going from the center of like your, going to your heart or to your lungs or to your diaphragm. You're never going to be able to push on those.
No,
They're too
that's true.
internal. It's just
But-
mainly the nerves
But-
going to your limbs.
Yeah.
Butt nerves.
Sitting-
Well, sciatic nerve, people who have those sciatic nerve problems, that nerve is getting pinched all the time in specific spots. Super
It
painful.
it sounds awful. I always pray that I never have that problem.
Yeah,
I see
very
people with that
debilitating.
and you're like,
Yeah.
gosh,
It looks
brutal.
awful.
yeah. Well, on that note,
Well, and it's
somebody
like
who's
the,
got sciatic is going to just be like, I hate them.
You have no idea.
You and your healthy sciatic nerves. Well, good.
awesome.
Well, if you liked what you saw or heard today, check us out on YouTube or our podcast.
Or visit our website, medicalconfessions.com.